so angry. Yeah. And then all of the stuff with just everything.
Yeah.
I always have our chat open, and it is rare that I close it because I'm just so pissed off that I don't want to see anybody talking. You know?
Yeah.
Fuck it. Everything sucks. Everything's bullshit. And also, fuck Ticketmaster. And, you didn't say it, fuck you, Trent Reznor. You shouldn't have allowed them to do this time.
Yep.
Which is disappointing because he's put so much effort into this before.
Yeah. I'm just saying Robert Smith did something about it on his last tour.
Everybody was talking about that in my Nine Inch Nails groups.
Yes.
Everyone was like, hey, Robert Smith beat them. Why can't Trent Reznor?
Yeah,
Trent Reznor's bigger at this point.
Absolutely has the ability to do it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Any major artist, you're allowing this to happen.
Yeah, I'm so mad. I'm so mad about it. Still going to try to go see it. Still want to see the show. But oh my God, it's going to cost me a fucking fortune.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome everybody to Streaming Screams. I am Glenn. I'm here with Jessica.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about some horror. Today we are going to be talking about Abigail.
Woohoo.
Released in 2024. Written by Stephen Shields and Guy Busick. Directed by Matt Betteleni. Oh, fuck me. Directed by Matt Betteleni Olpin and Tyler Gillette. There's basically two main groups of people in this movie. We've got the kidnappers with Melissa Barrera as Joey, a former combat medic and recovering morphine addict. Although she's generally honorable, in her desperation to be reunited with her estranged son, she takes a job kidnapping an unknown target with the promise of $7 million. We've got Dan Stevens as Frank, a corrupt former police detective who seems to be Lambert's second in command, kind of. Or maybe he just asserts authority like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It was funny because I watched like interviews with this. And even the interviews I watched, Dan Stevens was like, yeah, Frank's the only one. I don't know what his specialty is. So he just kind of like becomes the boss.
Oh, he was the bagman, wasn't he?
I don't know. I'm just saying this is what he said. He's like, yeah, everyone else has like a specialty. I don't know what mine was. So I just like came in there and then like, yeah, I kind of just start leading them.
Yeah. We've got Will Catlett as Rickles, a former Marine sniper and the most undeveloped character in the movie.
Yeah. He seems like he's the nicest.
Kind of? Does he even have any lines? Like he has like 5.
Maybe I'm not thinking of the right one.
The former sniper.
Yeah, he has lines.
Well, no, I mean, obviously he has lines.
Because he's the one that's like, are you going to come with me? And she's like, no.
But I think, isn't he the first, is he the first to die? I don't know. Either way, I'm pretty sure his main purpose is to be a corpse. We've got Catherine Newton as Sammy, a wealthy hacker. She grew up starved for attention by her rich parents. She turned to hacking and cybercrime as a way of rebelling and bringing some excitement into her life. We've got Kevin Durand as Peter, a derpy mob enforcement struggling with a crisis of conscience, kind of. I don't know. He's pretty derpy throughout the whole thing, so you never know what he's thinking.
Yeah, like over the top derpy.
Yeah, like he's real derpy.
Yeah.
Angus Cloud as Dean, the getaway driver. He is damn good at what he does, but he's also a childish sociopath.
Who also, Angus Cloud, this is one of his last movies.
Oh, did he die?
He did die.
Of what?
Drug overdose.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it kind of fucks over Euphoria, but that doesn't seem like Euphoria season 3 is ever going to happen anyway. So.
Oh, was he in Euphoria?
He was in Euphoria, and there was a major cliffhanger on like the end of season 2 that had to do with this character.
Oh no.
Yeah, but then like with the writer's strikes, him passing, and then Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney becoming so popular, they're like the likelihood of them able to like get their schedules together is very. And then also there's a dude that was in Saltburn. I don't know his name, but he's from that show and he's also getting big. So they're like, yeah.
I still haven't watched Saltburn.
I liked it a lot.
Been on my list forever. We've got Giancarlo Esposito as Lambert, the mastermind behind the kidnapping.
The chicken man.
Gus Fring, baby.
It's like, oh, he's just called
I know.
the chicken man.
I know. It seems really rude until you remember what made him famous.
I mean,
or at least what made him famous to us. Maybe he was
always
bigger
be
before.
Gus,
yeah.
the chicken man.
He was so iconic in that role.
Yeah. He's in lots of other stuff, and he often is playing almost the same character like in this movie.
Yeah. I think people want like a really like believable villain, and they're like, hey, let's get that Gus Fring guy to just come in here and be Gus Fring in a different situation.
They're all like, hey, let's get that chicken guy from Breaking Bad.
Then we've got the vampires. Alicia Weir as Abigail, Kristoff's daughter, a centuries-old vampire with the appearance of a 12-year-old ballerina girl. Her father turned her into a vampire as a child and trained her as an elite assassin. She is sadistic, violent, and loves to toy with her food. Also has kind of, daddy issues.
Yep.
And I'm sure all of the problems that come with being hundreds of years old and stuck in a 12-year-old girl's body, because that's gotta suck.
Yeah.
And we've got Matthew Good as Christophe Lazar, Abigail's father. He is a successful crime lord who is well known, but is also regarded as somewhat of an urban legend. What's less well known about him is that he's an ancient vampire. And it takes a particularly evil piece of shit to turn a child into a vampire, and he is exactly that kind of evil piece of shit. A team has been assembled to carry out a kidnapping, the details of which have been kept hidden from most of them. Joey, Frank, and Peter travel to the target's house and break in while Dean tries to flirt with Sammy in the van. It turns out that the target is Abigail. Joey has a real problem with the idea of kidnapping a 12-year-old girl, but the money is just too good, so she goes along with it anyway. Also, there probably would be a problem if you pulled out at this point in the plan.
Yeah, but they very much said in the movie, the point is they all are bad people.
Yeah.
There is no good people in this movie.
Right.
Like the fact that they're, even before this, they have all put other people's in danger for their own gain.
So they bring Abigail to a mansion, joined by the other 3 members of the team. Lambert informs them that the team assignment is to guard Abigail for 24 hours. Even though they are supposed to remain anonymous, Joey shows off her ability to read people, which leads to them finding out a fair amount about each other that they probably shouldn't know.
Yeah, it is funny though at first, because Dean's like, oh, I know I can read people really well, and then he tries to, and he's like totally wrong.
I mean, he's a complete idiot.
Yeah.
It is really funny because Peter is obviously the derpiest. Yeah. But Dean is so much stupider in so many ways.
Yeah, I've also known guys just like him.
I know. In my head, I have a feeling that I know at least 2 that you're thinking of. So Joey is tasked with watching over Abigail, and as she does so, they talk and bond a bit. Joey talks about her son and promises to make sure that no harm comes to Abigail. And in turn, Abigail tells her that her father doesn't care about her, won't be paying any ransom, and ominously apologizes for what's about to happen to Joey. Joey also is wearing a mask during this, but makes the dumbass mistake of removing Abigail's blindfold, which is going to set up some character conflict later on.
She does too easily just like...
Oh, she's a sucker.
Have all the sympathy. I'm like, why did they choose her? Be the one to check on her?
I mean, Lambert was the one that chose everybody.
I know.
And it's not based on their skills.
Yeah.
So, kind of disturbed hearing about what Abigail said, Frank interrogates Abigail and finds out who her father is, at which point he wants out. But the team talks him into staying. And it's worth noting that he walked in there without a mask, thinking that she was still blindfolded. So, now Frank and Joey are all sorts of at each other's throats. Dean makes a move on Sammy, but she rejects him, so he continues on into the basement where he is attacked by something that we don't see.
Such a sleaze.
Oh, he's such a sleaze.
And he's bad at it.
Yeah, there's nothing charming about him. No. And imagine being such a stupid asshole that you're brought in for this apparently like elite heist, and in the middle of it you draw a dick on the big guy's face while they're asleep.
It's kind of funny.
It is funny. Like, it's great. It's good comedy.
Because it's the stupider person, maybe.
I mean, it's good comedy. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, man, what an asshole. Yeah. And what a dumb asshole. Yeah. What a dumb ass.
Yeah. Not someone you'd think you would be hiring for a $4 million job.
No, not somebody I think I would want to spend 10 minutes with. Yeah. Dean is attacked by something that we don't see in the basement, and investigating his screams, Sammy finds that Dean has been decapitated. They all try to leave, but trigger the home security system, which traps them inside the house, and they all start looking for a way out when Rickles is mauled to death. So sorry, Rickles, we hardly knew you.
He seemed the most level-headed out of all of them.
Which I guess is why he has to die so quickly.
Because he's somehow thinks he bonded with Joey because they had like one conversation. And so, yeah, when they start figuring things out, he's like, want to get out of here with me? And she's like, no, I can't leave Abigail.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
I mean, you know, not to insinuate anything about military people, but they are kind of like that. Like they find out that somebody else has been in the military and immediately they're all...
Oh, yeah, that's why. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think he was in... Oh, Marines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems funny because when he's like, are you going to go with me? She almost seems like, ooh, me? Like,
right.
It's just... Like, okay.
Everyone wants to get Joey's attention here, or Sammy's attention.
Yep.
Being the two women around all this testosterone has got to be really annoying. Like, particularly in a kidnapping situation.
Sure. Well, it should have been a red flag when they allowed them to have drinks and shit. It's like, what do you mean? There's like a whole bar.
So we're all just going to get shit-faced and have a party, right?
Yeah.
So the team starts to break down, and Frank has had quite enough of this bullshit. He thinks Abigail is pitting them against each other, and that they are being attacked by Lazar's enforcer, an equally enigmatic killer named Valdez. So he orders Peter to go rough up Abigail and find out what's going on. Real scumbags in this movie. Go beat up the 12-year-old girl. Joey tries to intervene, leading to a confrontation between all the remaining kidnappers, during which time Abigail attacks them, revealing both that she is a vampire and is Valdez. So, basic vampire rules here. Garlic and crosses don't do anything. Sunlight does kill them, and when it does, they explode in a pretty glorious fashion. They have super strength, can fly, and are able to heal very fast, even if it's a sunlight wound. If you're bit, you just become a thrall with vampire abilities and weaknesses, but under the control of the vampire who bit you. And if you go through the full blood exchange, you become a vampire. The kidnappers escape and regroup, trying to figure out how they're going to escape a vampire with a legendary crime lord father. With the exception of Joey, who is against trying to kill Abigail, the kidnappers put their best movie and myth vampire understanding to work and try to hunt her down with garlic, crosses, and a wooden stake. The funny thing here is that coming back from the kitchen, Sammy brings onions instead of garlic, which makes for a funny gag, especially Frank's reaction to it. Honestly, that was my favorite moment of acting in the entire movie.
Really?
It's just, those are fucking onions.
Yeah.
His delivery on it was just so fucking great.
Yeah.
I found this detail funny because Sammy is supposed to be this really brilliant hacker, but her characterization is dumb bimbo. And it just does not seem to jive with
I don't know, man. Again, I've mentioned this many times, but I've worked with like engineers that do really brilliant, detailed things, but they're fucking morons like in every other aspect of their life. Plus, she's supposed to be like some rich girl.
Yeah.
She's probably never done anything in the kitchen in her entire life.
I mean, I really find it hard to imagine that there's anybody, no matter how rich, who doesn't know the difference between an onion and a head of garlic.
I mean, I could see confusing a shallot and a garlic.
Yeah, but she didn't have Charlotte. She had like
I'm
giant sweet red onions. Hey, if anybody listening to this knows somebody who doesn't know the difference between garlic and onions on site, let us know and tell us why.
Why they don't know.
Yeah, especially if you've got rich friends, let us know. Do they understand the difference between garlic and onion? So they find Abigail in a room with a little stage dancing around with Dean's headless corpse, which is very funny.
Yeah.
And they try to attack her, but she easily kicks the shit out of them, stabbing Frank in the stake with a leg. Oh man, I dyslexied that. They find her in a room. They find her in a room with a little stage dancing around with Dean's headless corpse, and they try to attack her. But she easily kicks the shit out of them, stabbing Frank in the leg with a stake and stabbing Peter like 100 times with a little crucifix. It's not big enough to seriously hurt him. It's just big enough to probably really, really suck.
Yeah.
So they regroup and decide to try drugging her with the same tranquilizer they used during the initial kidnapping. So using the best horror movie logic possible, they split up.
Sure.
At this point, Sammy falls into a swimming pool full of rotted corpses, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, they really made this look gross.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was like quicksand or something, or like it was going to be a quicksand trap because it looks so grainy and like muddy.
They said they threw a lot of things in there to make it look thick and soupy.
Oh, they succeeded. It's revolting.
Yeah.
Sammy falls into the swimming pool full of rotted corpses while Peter gets a splinter. At this point, Abigail attacks again and bites Sammy before Joey and Peter subdue her and lock her in a cage. In a massive exposition dump, she reveals that she is the mastermind behind everything that's happened, and they were brought here for her to hunt and kill, as they have all crossed her father somehow in the past. After toying with them a bit more psychologically, she just knocks down the door and escapes. They injure her with some sunlight and then escape to the library room thing, which has a ton of sunlight and so is kind of going to be a safe haven for them, and they try to figure out the best way to escape, but with absolutely no success. Sammy has this idea to try to short circuit the house's security system, opening it up so that they can escape. Unfortunately, at this point, she fully turns into a thrall, and Abigail takes control over her and makes her kill Peter. Poor Peter.
Dumbass.
So dumb. He doesn't seem like the most level-headed guy. Obviously, that was Rickles.
Yeah.
But he seems kind of like the nicest, just too dumb.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's too dumb to be mean.
But he's also like too dumb to be a good person because he just sort of does what he's told.
Yeah.
You know, with no critical thinking whatsoever.
Yeah.
The scene with him getting the splinter I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a big baby. Abigail performs a ballet while making Sammy do the same moveset, all set to Danzig's Blood and Tears. This doesn't move the plot forward at all, but obviously Danzig's involved, so I need to talk about it.
Well, they did it because Catherine Newton also was trained as a ballet dancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so her and the choreographer just came up with the dance and then showed it to the directors, thinking that they would put like pieces of it in, but they're like, oh, no. So they did a whole sequence. Like originally the whole dancing thing with Abigail and her, it was shorter. Mm-hmm. They also said they just liked the idea of Abigail being a big fan of Danzig.
I mean, who isn't? I absolutely love Danzig. I was so excited when we were watching this the first time. I was so excited when that song started playing.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, who has the good taste to put Danzig in here? And it's one of the better songs from one of his better albums. It's sort of Danzig at like his most Roy Orbison-y. I'm a big Danzig fan. Seen him a bunch of times. Seen the reunited Sam Hain. Seen the reunited Misfits.
Cool. Seen him carrying litter, the remnants of his old house.
I did see yes.
Yeah, I showed that to you.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's so... The remnants of the old house thing is only funny because he has like this real dark persona that he likes to, keep up. But then there's like Mickey Mouse figurines and stuff. Yeah, he's such a... And the kitty litter thing...
There's no reason that's actually funny. It just is because it's Danzig.
Funny, but...
It's just him doing normal things. I don't know, it's funny.
Yeah, there's something just really hilarious about the idea of Glenn Danzig doing anything normally.
I think it's also because he looks so annoyed.
Somebody or his partner, girlfriend, I don't think they're married. I don't know. I don't know that much about his personal life other than the funny stuff and his
bricks.
Occult stuff and his directing and the bricks. Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, look up Danzig bricks.
It'll come up.
It is the funniest goddamn thing you're gonna read in a while. And again, there's no real reason it should be that funny, but it's Danzig.
Yeah.
It's that quote, that episode where he was in Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That guy's so annoying. He never wears a shirt. He's such a weird guy because he does have this like whole tough guy attitude thing that he always tries to portray. But then you see him doing something that he really enjoys. Yeah. And every once in a while, like when I saw Sam Hain, it was really weird seeing his mask slip so much because he wasn't just running around the stage flexing and acting all dark. Like he was smiling, laughing, cracking jokes here and there. There was one part, oh man, I will never forget this. It made me so happy. I yelled out for Let the Day Begin. I really wanted to hear that song. And then they played something else. And then I yelled it one more time. And he goes, well, we were going to do Mother of Mercy next, but I think instead we're going to do Let the Day Begin. And I just lost my shit.
Nice.
Yeah, it was so cool.
And you know what's funny? There's some other guy that was like, oh!
Well, no, they just resumed the set later. Or they just went on to the next. They played Mother of Mercy next. Yeah, no. I mean,
for a minute, some guy was like, oh,
well,
God damn it.
I wouldn't have been able to hear him over the sound of me fangirling out hell of loudly because, oh man, I was so excited. Glenn Danzig took my request. Woo-hoo. How fucking rad was that?
Yeah, that's cool.
I'll tell you how rad. Very rad. Yeah, for all everybody likes to make fun of Danzig, and I get why. There's some silliness there. I genuinely love his music.
He just takes himself too seriously.
He does seem to take himself too seriously. And every once in a while, somebody will get him to say something about politics. And it's always so hilariously uninformed that you're like, why would you talk politics with Glenn Danzig? Yeah. I don't know that this guy even bothers to vote, you know?
Right.
Was the really fucking funny one to me was he was talking about being conservative versus liberal, and he was like, I mean, I'm conservative in some ways, but I'm really liberal in other ways. Like, I support abortion. I just don't think Planned Parenthood should be selling baby parts like some New Jersey chop shop.
Yeah.
It's like, jeez. What a bizarre thing to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if that's going to make it into the cut, but fuck, that was so funny. That was another thing that I was just howling with laughter reading. Like I said, I get it, but I absolutely love Danzig. I will always be a huge fan. It would be very hard for him to make me not love him.
Thanks for joining us here at the Streaming Screams podcast. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube at Streaming Screams Pod.
You can also find us on TikTok and Blue Sky at Screams Pod.
Every follow, like, thumb, rating, review, subscription, and share all help us out a lot with all the algorithm shit.
So if you like what we're doing, please rate us wherever you get your podcasts, like our posts, you know, all that other good internet bullshit. And again, thank you for listening to
the Streaming Screams podcast.
Dude, every time I hear the name Abigail, I think of the song Abigail by King Diamond. It is a curse that I'm pretty sure every metalhead in the world has. It's just...
How often does the name Abigail come up?
That's why. Because it's you know, it's generally known as one of King Diamond's best albums. Everybody in metal knows it. And King Diamond is one of those artists that you either love him or you fucking hate him. Because he has like this really distinct vocal style that a lot of people find really annoying. And a lot of people really love.
Yeah.
Abigail, I know you're in control of her brain. Abigail, whoa! Thing for my King Diamond fans out there. So Joey and Frank manage to kill Sammy by reflecting some sunlight at her. They follow a secret passage to the security room where Lambert, who is also revealed to be a vampire, says that it is his job to bring Lazar's enemies to this house so that Abigail can play her hunting games with them. Sick of working for Lazar and Abigail, he transforms Frank into a vampire in exchange for a promise to help him kill them both. Frank goes for it, but immediately kills Lambert with a stake before biting and trying to drain Abigail. Joey fights him, but he kicks the shit out of her until she's saved by a revived Abigail, and after some fighting, it looks like he's gotten the better of both of them. This one part I thought was really weird, because it seemed like he was drinking Abigail for a while.
Yeah.
And then she comes back and she's like, if you want to kill me, you have to drain me. And I'm like, wait, what? I thought that just happened.
She had a little bit left.
I guess.
Suck them dry.
I also have to note here that in this scene, they have the worst ADR since Evil Dead 2's work shed line, where Abigail says, you thought you could just make her your puppet. It's so clearly something that she just said in a studio that they overlaid on this. It doesn't even sound like the rest of the dialogue. Like, it's real obvious.
And this is in reference to Frank biting Joey.
Yeah.
Because, he tries to control her and Joey fakes it.
Right. Yeah, this whole This whole conclusion is kind of contrived and weird. At this point, it just kind of seems like they're making up rules as they go along, you know?
Yeah.
Like Abigail's like, it takes years to learn how to do the cool shit. I'm like, what do you have to do while biting somebody in order to bite them?
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's got to be some sort of weird technique or some sort of psychic deal. But yeah, this part, they have just decided they don't need rules and they're just going with the rule of whatever gets them to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You watch this movie, just pay attention at this part. That line is so clearly not said on screen, and I don't know why they added it. Like, it's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
So eventually they are able to kill Frank in a comically absurd explosion of blood. Lazar shows up and is about to kill Joey, but Abigail convinces him to let her go. That is the entirety of the movie.
Like, why does he show up?
I don't know. And they, again...
Shouldn't he be off doing his own business?
Supposedly. But, I don't know. Maybe it's like a psychic connection thing. But Abigail gives him this whole thing about she was here when you weren't.
Yeah.
And he's like, I came when you really needed me. What?
Yeah.
Did she call him?
Yeah.
Did she just like ring him up on his cell phone? Telepathic? What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, and it seems like they're fine now.
Yeah. Honestly, it really just doesn't matter at all.
I know that they really debated if they were going to add Lazar was ever going to show up or not.
Oh, did they? Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Because I didn't know if it was necessary.
Yeah, I could see that. It probably wasn't, and honestly, in my opinion, brought up more questions than answers, which is fine. This isn't the type of movie where you need answers.
Yeah.
Because really, at the bottom line, it's a perfectly cromulent horror comedy that does some fun things with vampire tropes, but that's really all it is.
Yeah.
It's no Shaun of the Dead or Gremlins, but it gets the job done.
Yeah. So fun fact, this movie was filmed in the Guinness Mansion in Ireland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The girl who plays Abigail is Irish also.
Nice.
She has a cute accent. And she didn't have to have a dialect coach because she watches a lot of American TV. So she knew how to flatten out her voice.
Probably our greatest export.
Yeah, but yeah, they didn't want to have to build a bunch of sets, so they filmed in the Guinness.
That makes sense. I mean, it's kind of a perfect location for this. Mm-hmm. Like the mansion looks really cool.
I wonder though how they felt about all the blood.
I mean, this is the house that beer built, man. They might not give a shit. So, how did you like this movie?
Yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's not like perfect, but
yeah.
Like Frank's accent really drives me nuts. I think it was supposed to be from Chicago or Boston or something.
I think it's somewhere, some New England, probably Boston.
Yeah, I hate it. It's so fake.
I could see it being a really poorly done New York accent too.
Nah. But I'll just say this. Dan Stevens is a fun actor. He does accents in almost all of his roles, and he's terrible at it. Like they just always seem so forced. Like in this movie, it works fine because it's like all the dialogue and everything's just
absurd,
silly.
Yeah.
But just like it's so bad.
I will say I thoroughly enjoy this movie.
It's fun.
It's very fun, very funny. Great gore. It's absurd how much gore there is when the vampires get hit by sunlight or die because they really fucking explode.
Yeah.
I will say, I do think it kind of suffers from too many of the characters being stupid. Like Peter being a big dumb dummy was fine.
Yeah. Because that's his role. He's just a muscle.
Yeah. Sammy being a bimbo at times doesn't seem to fit, in my opinion.
What?
I
wouldn't call her a bimbo. A bimbo's usually like a slutty like character.
I mean, I guess I didn't want to say dumb blonde, but that's kind of like who she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
She's derpy, but in a completely different way. She picks up onions instead of garlic. And then Frank, as a vampire, makes some really dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
There is a point at which I do just kind of wish there was a little bit less incompetence, but it's fine. I probably also would have liked... Oh, God, my notes seem so much more critical than I thought they were. So I also think it would have been nice to have a little more depth to some of the characters. I do feel like the movie kind of relies on sympathy to get you invested in them Peter's dumb and everyone's mean to him. Joey is a junkie and therefore absolved of some of the responsibility of her actions. The ploy of Abigail gaining sympathy from the appearance of a 12-year-old girl is kind of used by the movie to get the audience to care about her and the kidnappers, and it's kind of hard to, especially when you remember she's not a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
She's she says that she's like hundreds of years old, so she's definitely an adult trapped in a 12-year-old's body.
Yeah.
And that's got to blow.
Yeah. I don't know. My biggest drawback for this movie is that the first half of the movie is like there's a secret. There's going to be a reveal, but all the advertisement was about her being a vampire.
It's always the fucking advertisements.
Well, no, what's weird to me, though, is like the director said that they knew that it was going to be advertised that way, that we would all already know. So they're like, they said that they tried to play with it like that we already know. And I'm like, I don't feel like they did.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's
like if you didn't see any advertisements for this, then no, you don't have any idea.
Right. But I mean, like, why would you have gone to see the movie if you didn't? Like the whole.
Yeah, that's my thing is how would they advertise this?
Yeah. The whole selling point of this movie was ballerina vampire girl.
Yeah.
Which is great. And actually, I would have liked to have seen them utilize the ballet a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because there's a few scenes of it, but, it's such a good gimmick.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's kind of funny how similar the setup is to, in some ways, to like From Dusk Till Dawn. And they, I mean, maybe it's just because I was a kid, like a teenager, but I felt like they managed to do a really good job of playing with the idea that, vampires are going to show up, but they don't show up till like the third act. Or at least they don't reveal themselves to be vampires till the third act.
Yeah, they don't show up till the third act.
Yeah. It's like heist movie, stripper scene, vampires. Yeah, which is great. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's good.
One of my favorite dumb action horror movies. I also think the gore in this was really fun. I like that this movie isn't afraid to get disgusting at certain points. And it's kind of almost juvenile about it.
Yeah,
like
everybody said this is the bloodiest movies they've ever been on. And even the directors were like, yeah, all our movies are bloody, but this one's like over the top.
Yeah. And I mean, it was clearly over the top on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen movies where vampires explode when they're hit with sunlight. It is never like popping a blood balloon.
Well, it's the same as what they did in Ready or Not at the end.
I don't think I saw Ready or Not.
What? With the bride? And she's marrying into a rich family and then they like have to play a game?
Yeah, I don't think I saw
You've never seen Ready or Not?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh my God. We should have done that. But you got to watch Ready or Not.
Well, we'll put it on the list and we'll do that soon.
Has Samara Weaving in it?
Do you like Samara Weaving quite a bit?
Well, maybe it's good.
Yeah.
And I think they did You're Next also. No, they didn't do You're Next. I thought they did.
That would be very funny if they did a movie called Ready or Not and then You're Next.
Well, You're Next would have been first.
But then they weren't they wouldn't. It sounds like movies that should be one of them should be a sequel to the other,
right,
just from the titles.
Oh, they did one of the Scream movies.
I still haven't seen any of the Screams past number 2.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I don't know. I decided I was finally going to sit down and watch them all recently.
Why?
Because they're there.
Yeah, that's just true. They are.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I feel like every horror fan except me has seen them all. And Scream was never my favorite.
I never liked Scream.
Yeah.
Even when it came out, even now, I tried rewatching it and I'm like, it's bad. I don't understand why people love the first Scream. The acting is terrible. Like, and everyone's like, oh, this is one of the first movie where all the teenagers are cool. I'm like, no, they're not.
Yeah, they're not at all.
And
also, maybe we won't ever need to do Scream after this because I'm just going to get my biggest complaint with it out of the way. The killer gets his ass kicked through the whole movie. They are very rarely successful at killing somebody in the way they intend. Most of the time, they basically accidentally stumble upon it during some kind of a fight scene or something.
They're teenagers.
Just to me, it's supposed to be a straight slasher. It's supposed to actually be scary. There is nothing scary to me about a killer who constantly gets hit and falls over. The second one was fine.
I don't remember. I haven't seen it since it came out.
Yeah. It was in college, something. I don't know. This is how good the movie is. I watched it like a month ago, and I can barely remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably will watch the rest just so I have a frame of reference with it. But yeah, it is not a series that grabbed me the way it seems to have grabbed everybody else.
It was a lot of people, like, probably that are, like, in their 30s now, so, like, 10 years younger than us or so. There was a lot of people's, like, first horror movie.
I could
So
see
it
that.
got a lot of people into horror movies, so.
It was weird that period of time that Wes Craven just got really into the meta-ness of...
I like A New Nightmare. I think A New Nightmare is great.
I was going to say, I think he did the same concept much better in New Nightmare.
Yeah.
That movie's excellent.
Freddy's makeup doesn't look great, but it also makes sense in the context that he's a demon, not actually Freddy.
Yeah, really cool subversion of horror movie tropes in that one.
Yeah.
Unlike in Scream, where it's just kind of the M. Night Shyamalan of slashers. Pretty typical and basic, and then there's a twist at the end. That's it. Anyway, who would you recommend back to the movie that we're actually talking about here. Who would you recommend Abigail to?
If you liked Ready or Not.
Come on, man.
Yeah, if you like horror comedies and blood.
I mean, this is basically a summer blockbuster horror comedy, and I'd probably...
Popcorn flick.
Yeah, it's a total popcorn flick, and I'd probably recommend it to anybody who would be listening to a podcast about horror. It's it's fun. It's not going to blow your mind. It's not going to change the way you look at cinema or something like that. You'll have an enjoyable 2 hours or whatever the runtime is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's actually 2 hours, and it doesn't feel like it's that long.
No.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah.
There's laughs, thrills, Danzig.
Yep.
You know. All right. Anyway, so Jessica, where can we watch Abigail?
You can watch it with the subscription at Prime Video, or you can rent it on Apple TV. That's it.
I feel like the movie that good deserves more of a release.
It was on HBO for a month and then got taken off.
Really?
Yeah, and I watched it and then like 2 days later recommended it to my friend and then at work, and he came back and was like, yeah, it's not there. And I was like, no, I just watched it. And I was like, yeah.
I feel like that movie deserves better than it's getting.
I know.
It was such a fun movie. All right. Well,
easy.
I think that's going to do it for this episode of Streaming Screams. Jessica, play us out.
Vampire ballerina, da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Vampire ballerina, da-na-na-na-na-na. She's gonna get you, da-na-na-na-na-na. She's gonna get you, da-na-na-na. Vampire ballerina.
Yeah.